Hey, thanks for watching the Eyes Open Network. Today's update is based around Russian airstrikes, more U.S.-backed rebels in Syria. This comes to us from the Washington Free Beacon. As you notice the headline, Russian strikes more U.S.-backed rebels in Syria. Now, I'm going to dissect that a little bit because they're not using the word terrorism or terrorists, as remember, the United States is at war on terrorism. So they can't call the U.S.-backed rebels in Syria terrorists. But a definition of a terrorist is someone infiltrating, terrorizing the people of a sovereign country, Syria, right? So we got to call a spade and a club, and a heart, right? But as you'll notice, mainstream media will try to deflect that. So Russia strikes more U.S.-backed rebels, not terrorists, but they're U.S.-backed rebels. Now, two things here. They're, like I said before, they're not calling them terrorists when the Russians strike them, because they're funded by the U.S. government. That's the other thing. They're admitting that they're funding terrorists. And we're going to make sure that we clarify that so that, this can become very confusing to the general public, because mainstream media is saying one thing, terrorists are bad, but some terrorists are not, the ones we fund. So how are people supposed to know which ones are good and which ones are bad? It's the perfect enemy, terrorists, right? Because we can fund them sometimes, and sometimes if the other guys that we don't like are getting in on our action, we will say that, they're attacking us. Well, they're attacking terrorists. Like Lavrov said out of Russia, if it walks like a terrorist and smells like a terrorist, it's a terrorist. And Moscow targets more anti-Assad forces, which means, trying to take out Assad, of course, in Syria. Kills civilians in areas not controlled by the Islamic State. So, because everybody hates ISIS and everybody's scared of ISIS, which is funded by the U.S. government, and on record is factual. It's just it's a break off of Al Qaeda. And just rebranded in a new name and funded more, so then it's a different terrorist item, because Al Qaeda is bad. Remember, they already ruined Al Qaeda because they can't use Al Qaeda anymore because Al Qaeda is bad, right? But they funded them too, and that's on record. So that's one thing. But I want to share a couple other headlines with you on the American side. Now, don't think that us here at the Eyes Open Network condemn civilians being killed anywhere around the world, regardless of who it's from. Russia, that's bad. That's bad. But you need to be listening to all, believing no one, and making up your own mind. You got to see there's both sides of the story, right? This is the article that came out when the Doctors Without Borders was bombed and decimated in Afghanistan just a couple weeks ago. And there's at least 19 dead. But look what the headline says. Doctors with Borders says U.S. airstrike hit hospital in Afghanistan, at least 19 dead. So that is a report on October 3rd saying that the U.S. airstrike has killed 19 just innocent people. It's a hospital, right? Look what CNN says on that exact same day. Air attacks kills at least 19 in an Afghanistan hospital. U.S. investigating. Not somehow CNN doesn't report that the U.S. did it, right? They don't want, again, remember, it's all propaganda. Both sides. The Russians do it, the Americans do it. But you need to be listening to all. That's why Eyes Open Network is going to be here for you. Believing none of us. Don't even believe us. Go do the research. It's not like I've made up these headlines and hacked into the CNN site somehow. These are actually what's happening, but you need to be aware of what's happening so that you don't get, misled or just believe everything you're being told. You got to actually do your own investigation and your own, your own news, right? And killing civilians is not new to the Americans. In fact, the Americans, on record, have admitted that it's called collateral damage, but it's actually worth killing children. I'm not even joking. Take a look at this.
We have heard that 500,000 children have died. I mean, that's more children than died in Hiroshima. And is the price worth it?
I think this is a very hard choice, but we think the price is worth it.
Now, everybody knows Madeleine Albright, right? Secretary of State. But just think about, like, that blows my mind every time I see that clip. No matter what is going on in the world, no matter what color you are, we all have blood flowing through our veins. We're all humans. We're all people, regardless of what part of the world you're from. Innocent children are being murdered, and it's worth it? What could be worth that? 500,000 children? What could be worth that to the U.S. government? Thanks for watching the Eyes Open Network. That's today's, or that's an update. I just wanted to give you my perspective of what's going on right now, and making sure that you listening to all, believing nobody, because you you can't. You have to use your own mind and become an independent, and figure things out for yourself. Thanks again for watching the Eyes Open Network. Subscribe to the channel. Lots more videos to keep you posted and keep you in tune to what's really going on in the world in geopolitics, world news, and finance.